There's an athlete in your town just like Billy, training hard for the Special Olympics.
Come on, Billy.
The biggest event in his life.
Okay, good time.
His day in the sun.
I feel tired. I'm right, though.
Okay, good.
All over America, 400,000 mentally handicapped youngsters are working hard, getting ready. But without your help, they may not get there. And they've been disappointed so often. So please, won't you sponsor an athlete in your town and send your very own champion to Special Olympics? It costs so little. It means so much. It's special.
42 flights, took 3 seconds off your time.
I feel really great.
Please write Special Olympics, Box 19106, Washington, D.C.
High noon in Gotham City. A deserted warehouse on the outskirts of town. And a ticking bomb spells trouble for Batman and Robin.
Holy, breaking and entering. It's Batgirl.
Quick, Batgirl. Untie us before it's too late.
It's already too late. I've worked for you a long time, and I'm paid less than Robin.
Holy discontent.
Same job, same employer means equal pay for men and women.
No time for jokes, Batgirl.
It's no joke. It's the federal equal pay law.
Holy act of Congress.
Can we talk about this later?
Will Batgirl save the dynamic duo? Will she get equal pay? Tune in tomorrow or contact the Wage and Hour Division listed in your phone book under the U.S. Department of Labor.
WBMG-TV, Channel 42, Birmingham.
Word from Iran is that the Shah will remain in power, and here at home, Alabama Power Company is tightening its belt, and Ma Bell gets put on hold for directory assistance. We'll have details on those and other stories, plus sports and weather, next on Channel 42 News Plus.
This is 42 News Plus, a complete look at news, plus weather, sports, and Paul Harvey's commentary.
Good evening. Alabama Power Company today put a series of cost-cutting measures into effect in order to conserve funds. Utility President Joseph Farley said the cash shortage was due to a lack of adequate rate levels, adding that if the company does not receive increased rates in the immediate future, the company will be forced to implement additional emergency instructions. The Public Service Commission today put South Central Bell on hold until a decision is reached on whether the company can charge users for directory assistance. South Central says that it can save millions of dollars if it's allowed to charge 20 cents a call after the first 5 in a month. Final decision was put off until next week because Commissioner Jim Ziegler says he's concerned over inequitable situations that might arise. A new government seems to be on the verge of being formed in Iran tonight, but there are conflicting reports as to whether the Shah will step down. Correspondent Bert Quint has more.
Shapour Bakhtir, a Paris-educated opposition politician, told CBS News tonight that he has accepted the task of putting together a civilian cabinet to replace the military government now ruling the country. He said that the Shah agreed to leave Iran for a rest. Palace spokesmen deny that the Shah has agreed to leave Iran for a rest or for anything else, but did confirm that Bakhtir is forming a government. Bakhtir told CBS News that a Crown Council will take over the functions of the monarch, which would greatly diminish after the Shah leaves Iran. Just how that council would work and who will make it up is not clear. One method of compromise, long discussed as a possible solution to Iran's crisis, would establish the Shah's 18-year-old son as king, advised and controlled by regents. This would move Iran toward becoming a constitutional monarchy while leaving a member of the Reza Pahlavi family on the throne. As the palace spokesman denied that the Shah will leave, so too did he deny that any kind of Crown Council is being planned.
The surprise political development followed another day of violence as angry demonstrators stormed the streets of Tehran and other cities in the region. More from correspondent Bob McNamara.
Gangs of young men barricaded street intersections with park benches, construction debris, and burning tires. They shouted death to the Shah and angrily warned foreigners to get out of the country. Iranian soldiers could not control the roving mob, and this afternoon we saw troops fire point-blank into crowds as people ran from a demonstration. That shooting incident was not the only one we witnessed today. Earlier, we saw two men gunned down in the streets by soldiers. One of the victims shot in the head and killed instantly, and the other was seriously wounded in the hip area. Again, at a cemetery outside Tehran, thousands of the Shah's opponents staged a demonstration protesting the killings last night of more than a dozen people. The victims were believed to have been shot as Iranian soldiers carried out an operation to enforce a nighttime curfew.
According to a recent market basket survey, 1978 is ending in much the same way it started, with prices at the supermarket on the increase and the prospects of higher prices still to come. The survey, based on a random list of 14 commonly purchased food and non-food items, shows that prices rose by more than 1% in December. The increase compared with last year's figures is almost 9% higher than it was at the beginning of the year.
I thought Christmas was over.
Not till you've shopped Eastwood Malls after Christmas clearance. It's the money-savingest sale of the season.
What the dickens? Deck the halls with...
Now, a great chance to save 30% on all bras and girdles at JCPenney. Save on front hook and crossover bras, molded, seamless, and contour styles. 30% off our entire stock, plus all-in-one body briefers, tummy control briefs, panel girdles, and more. Everything for everybody and everyone 30% off. A great chance to save at JCPenney now.
An attorney for John Gasey, the convicted sex offender who has confessed to the murders of several young boys in the Chicago area, says his client will not get a fair trial because of heavy news coverage. Gasey was not allowed to go to a pre-arraignment hearing today because of what authorities called security reasons. Meanwhile, another 6 bodies were found underneath Gasey's suburban Chicago home. The discoveries bring the total number of corpses found to 28. Sound experts told the House Assassinations Committee today they're 95% sure 4 shots were fired at former President John Kennedy, one of those coming from the now famous grassy knoll. Here's a report.
As you can see, acoustical experts told the committee it was all a matter of high school geometry and physics. And with the aid of maps, charts, and even a piece of string, they explained why they believe a noise accidentally recorded over a police radio was really the third of 4 shots, not 3, as the Warren Commission concluded. They said sound wave patterns show sonic waves of the kind made when a rifle fires, and that an analysis of echoes shows they came from the now famous grassy knoll, presumably from the gun of a second assassin.
With again, a confidence level of 95% or higher, which I guess if I were a lawyer, I might well express as beyond a reasonable doubt, that shot took place. I would agree with the statement that there's an overall probability of 95% or better that there were 4 shots fired in Dealey Plaza.
The experts pinpointed Officer H.B. McLean as the policeman whose radio was inadvertently left on. He said today he just didn't remember. Committee members admitted that the experts' testimony comes at a very difficult time for them, since they go out of business next week, and since testimony over the last 2 years had led them to believe that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone.
Federal investigators probing the crash of that United DC-8 jetliner in Portland, Oregon, say among the possible reasons for the crash were that the plane ran out of fuel while circling the airport or that its electricity system shut down. We have a report.
The pilot of United 173 radioed that his landing gear was not functioning. He was placed in a holding pattern for 40 minutes while the flight crew tried desperately to correct the problem. The plane went down in a heavily populated neighborhood about 6 miles from the Portland International Airport, miraculously avoiding an apartment complex while leveling 2 vacant homes and coming to rest in a clump of trees. No one on the ground was injured. There was no fire or explosion, which led to speculation that the pilot may have run out of fuel.
About all we know is that the man did land short on the approach in line with the runway. He had experienced some gear problems, so he said, and evidently lost power. And of course, couldn't make it to the runway.
There had been some reports saying that he had ran out of fuel. Could that be possible, that he was low on fuel?
It's possible, but we have nothing to back it up yet, just except for what we've heard, and that's all. That's the reason we're here. In all probability, we'll find out what happened pretty quick, but as to why that happened, it's going to take quite a lengthy time.
Investigators from the Federal Aviation Administration and the National Transportation Safety Board were on the scene early this morning, sifting through debris, trying to determine exactly what brought the plane down so short of the runway.
Officials now say 10 people were killed in that airplane crash. Federal Judge Robert Varner has issued a preliminary injunction to keep the Coosa County Sheriff's post vacant until an election fraud suit is settled. Sheriff Veston Peters claims that illegal votes were cast for Sheriff-elect William Evans. The injunction bars either of the men from holding office until that suit has been resolved. With only 2 days left before the start of the new year, millions of Americans are preparing to make those seldom-kept New Year's resolutions. Newsplus reporter Joe Allen dropped by downtown Birmingham this morning and asked passers-by what their resolutions might be.
What resolutions have you made?
Well, I want to quit smoking, and which is going to be very, very hard. And I also want to be able to help people in any way I can and try just to be a better person all the way around.
Did you stick to your last year's resolutions?
Not real well, no, I didn't. But I'm going to try harder this year.
Think you'll fare pretty good?
I think I'm going to do great. I hope.
My New Year's resolution is to become a better student in school and make better grades and live a better life.
Well, I've made the resolution to try to be as nice as I can to my customers and to my family and my friends.
Were you not so nice last year?
Well, let's just put it this way. I've decided that it would be a better place if everybody just tried to go that extra mile and be nice to everybody else.
What resolution have you made for the new year?
That I will not be walking. I will have my driver's license this year.
Do you have a car?
Yes.
Why aren't you driving now? Because you don't have a license?
Mm-hmm. And I'm on my way to get them now.
Newsplus weatherman Tandy Culpepper is waiting in the wings for his debut on Newsplus Weather. He'll have the weekend weather forecast coming up right after Paul Harvey comments. Stay with us.
Paul Harvey Comments is brought to you by Star Hardware with 3 convenient Birmingham locations.
Fiscal conservatives thought the world was going to come to an end when Fed Chairman Burns was replaced. Now they're altogether as enthusiastic about his replacement. The new chairman, Bill Miller, thinks that some loose-lipped economists are trying to talk us into a recession. But he says there's no need for a recession if Americans are willing to stick to tough and maybe painful slow growth policies for several years. With courage and discipline, he says, there is absolutely no reason based on economic realities that our nation should have a recession, and as for a depression, that's simply not in the cards at all. Now, how tough and how painful, because after all, the decisions he's asking for must be made by elected officials who are disciplined never to legislate anything tough or painful. But Chairman Miller says, and the President appears disposed to agree, that we just can't afford more and more lavish social programs. And social programs, in case you've not caught up with the season's jargonese, means hush puppies. That's money doled out to people to keep them pacified and mollified, voting right. Chairman Miller believes that our economy presently is very well balanced. The growth rate he anticipates, 2.5% to 3% next year, may not soak up all of the additional people entering the job market. That's where some discipline is going to be called for. But with discipline, this next promises to be one of the happiest new years in our republic's experience. And incidentally, Chairman Miller believes that our best hope of practicing the fiscal prudence that's necessary is right now. Any closer to an election, the pain could be intolerable. Good day.
There's nothing like the beauty and warmth of a blazing fire in a fireplace. That's why I'm here at Star Hardware right now. It's time to get ready for those cold nights ahead. And at Star, I can choose from grates, wood holders, bellows, log racks. Well, the biggest selection I've seen around. And their prices don't put a damper on my budget. You know, I guess that's why they say that Star is so much more.
Star Hardware, downtown Brookwood Village and Eastwood Mall.
Now, Massey Ferguson's 190 and 160 PTO horsepower tractors are joined by 140 horsepower, 120 horsepower, and 100 PTO horsepower tractors. All have big comfort and visibility, hydraulic systems that help you work with maximum flexibility and efficiency, and the economy of Perkins diesel power. Here are 5 big reasons to move up now to Massey Ferguson.
See Jones Tractor Company, Oxford, Alabama. Whatever the weather, things go better when you save at Jefferson Federal.
When you retire, there should be more than a gold watch waiting for you. Jefferson Federal's individual retirement account can help you save for the future while saving you money right now on taxes. Within limits based on your income, you can deduct the amount you save at Jefferson Federal from the gross income reported on federal tax returns. Taxes are deferred until withdrawal at retirement, when you'll probably be in a lower tax bracket. If you don't already have a retirement plan, you probably qualify. Isn't it time that you opened an individual retirement account at Jefferson Federal?
Well, hello everyone. We're saying goodbye to the old year 1978, and at the same time we're bidding goodbye to some of that clear, cooler weather that we've been having in the area lately. We told you yesterday in the forecast that temperatures would begin to warm up going into the weekend, and they have. Around the state today in the northern part, the temperatures were 40, and toward the southern part of the state, temperatures ranged in the 50s. Also, we said that we'd be getting a little bit of precipitation, and if you've been outside lately, you'll notice that we're getting a bit of drizzle in the area. And the reason for that is for several factors. Checking the weather map, we had a high pressure center over the Hudson Bay area that became a high pressure ridge moving into the southeastern states. And this high pressure ridge has begun to move off into the Atlantic, taking with it that cool and clear weather that we've had. At the same time, we had a stationary front off of the coast of Florida. Now this stationary front has begun to evolve into a warm front, which will probably be completed by mid-Saturday afternoon. And as this warm front develops, it will begin to move northward, bringing with it warm, humid air off the Gulf. As that happens, the state of Alabama will begin to experience a few more showers, scattered showers, and then off of the southeastern coast of Louisiana, a low-pressure trough has been developing, which by Sunday will become a low-pressure area, and this low-pressure area, too, will begin to move up into Alabama. The combined effect of this low plus the effect of the warm front will give us a good chance for scattered showers and even some thunder showers by Sunday. Yesterday we spoke also about a cold front that had moved into the Mississippi Valley. At this point, this cold front is not giving us an awful lot of effect. In fact, it's kind of hovering there. But by the time this low pressure trough has developed into a low and moved into the area, the combination of this low with its kind of egg beater effect and the cold front will give us the thunder showers that we spoke of. So we're going to be looking forward to a rather sloppy weekend, and those of you who are going to the Alabama game at the Sugar Bowl had better take along your umbrellas because, as I say, most of this weather is originating off of the Louisiana coast. Taking a look now at our satellite weather picture, you can see the effects of the stationary front off the coast of Florida and the cloud coverage off of the Louisiana coast. And you'll notice that it's all moving eastward, taking with it that clear weather we've had and giving us the precipitation that we're looking forward to. The weather in the area today, the low last night was 40 degrees, the high today 53 degrees. Rainfall was 0, but we've had some drizzle. The temperature is 50 degrees, humidity is 41%, barometric pressure is 30.27 and rising. The wind is from the southeast at 14 miles per hour. The metro forecast is cloudy with a chance of light rain tonight and Saturday night and Sunday. The low tonight is 48, the high Saturday will be near 60, the low Saturday night 52. The high Sunday 62, and the probability of rain is 20% tonight, 30% on Saturday, and 60% on Sunday. Pollution count in the metro area: downtown 51, North Birmingham 96, Fairfield 33, and Leeds 78. Well, that's the weather for today. John will have the sports in just a moment, and join us again on Monday.
Add it up for yourself. If you save $1,000 in Jefferson Federal's 8% certificate account, in 8 years, that $1,000 would grow to $1,884.54, almost double your money. With quarterly compounding, Jefferson Federal's 8% certificates give you an effective annual yield of 8.24%. For high-interest short-term, check into Jefferson Federal's 6-month money market certificates. These days, it's important that your savings earn the highest rate possible, and the smart money is at Jefferson Federal.
Channel 42 Weather with John Dawson has been brought to you by Jefferson Federal. Have a nice day tomorrow.
Actually, John Dawson is off tonight. I'm Bob Freeman substituting on the sport and in the sport, on the sports, whichever. We're down at the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville, Florida tonight in the first meeting between 7th-ranked Clemson and number 20 Ohio State. It was Clemson 17, Ohio State 9. Quite a shock, I'm sure, for Buckeyes coach Woody Hayes. And in Montgomery this afternoon, the Gray frittered away a 21-0 lead, then rallied in the fourth quarter for a 28-24 victory in the annual Blue-Gray Classic. Kentucky's Chris Hill scored the winning touchdown late in the fourth on a 1-yard plunge. He set up the game-winning score 2 plays earlier by getting to the Blue 3. on a 43-yard pass reception from Duke's Mike Nunn, who also scored one of the Grays' touchdowns this afternoon in Montgomery. Meanwhile, the Houston Cougars, the Southwest Conference champions, face the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame on New Year's Day in the Cotton Bowl, and Jim Jeffries reports that the Cougars are ready.
The University of Houston Cougars return to the Cotton Bowl for the second time in 3 years. The Southwest Conference champions lost an opening game shocker to Memphis State before rolling over 8 straight opponents, including an impressive shutout of Texas A&M, followed by a physical win over Arkansas when the Houston defense denied the Razorbacks a touchdown. When Houston got by Texas 10-7, the Southwest Conference title again was assured for the Cougars and head coach Bill Yeoman.
I think the frame of mind sagged. I don't think there's any question about it, particularly after that Texas game when they thought, you know, winning one of the two, they'd be all right. But I'll tell you, I think it'll pick back up, and I believe the kids will be in a lot better frame of mind concentration-wise.
You don't have to get up to play a Notre Dame team. You don't have to get up to play football, period, I don't believe. But it's a little bit more incentive when you get a team that's rated in the top 10 year in and year out, that has all the publicity, that has all the guys that they have and send into the pros each year. And I think that it's just a matter of showing up. Now that's what's hard doing, showing up to play Notre Dame.
In fact, Danny Davis runs the famous Houston Veer, featuring 2 1,000-yard runners in Emmett King and Randy Love. The Cougars' very quick defense is led by a swarming front four and sophomore linebacker David Hodge.
And the professional ranks, the NFC playoff game between the ever-so-powerful Dallas Cowboys and the Atlanta Falcons, originators of the new, improved, and nearly patented miracle finish, will be played tomorrow at Texas Stadium. As we see in this report, the Cardiac Kids may need a pocket full of miracles for this head-bumping contest.
By game time Saturday, it's likely the Cowboys are going to be tired of hearing about the Atlanta Blitz, because this week, at least 2 of every 3 questions asked of Coach Tom Landry and his players have centered around that part of the Falcons' defensive game plan.
A blitzing team's got to worry you know, because that's the reason they blitz, put pressure on you and worry you. Because anything can happen when you're blitzing. You can get a big play, or you got a second and long.
I feel like this, you know, when you're doing a lot of blitzing, if the offensive team you're blitzing, if we pick it up, then it's going to be advantageous to us as far as our running game or passing game is concerned. It hurts more when you're blitzing a lot in the passing game if we pick up their blitzes. And then if we don't, then it's going to be a big plus for them.
As I said, 2/3 of the questions this week have concerned the blitz. Well, the other third has to do with the Falcons' ability to pull out those last-second victories.
And the Oilers are a 6-point underdog for Sunday's AFC playoff game against the Patriots. The Oilers have a couple of key injuries. Quarterback Dan Pastorini is banged up pretty well, and wide receiver Richard Castor has a groin injury. But there's still another problem the Houston team faces when it journeys north to Foxborough. Here's a report.
The Houston Oilers are not only preparing for the New England Patriots, but the cold weather that they are not very accustomed to playing in. Equipment manager Greg Doremus passed out gloves so players could work out in them all week, since they'll need them Sunday in Foxborough. But in talking with head coach Bum Phillips, he worries a lot more about stopping Steve Grogan and the Patriots than the weather.
Well, they've got a different offensive attack, Ron. They have a quarterback that is just as liable to run with the football. In fact, I think he has more yardage running than our second leading runner in our offensive backfield. He's a guy that'll run the draw, he'll run a bootleg, he runs options. When he runs with the football scrambling, he runs as far as he can get. He don't run down there and slide. He runs as far as he can get. Big, strong kid.
Honestly, were you surprised that you could come up with close to 500 yards against a defense like Miami?
Yeah, it was a real tribute to our football team. It was a real tribute to Dan and our receivers' throwing ability, because he threw some great footballs, and they made some great catches.
Meanwhile, Steve Grogan may not be up to full strength as the New England Patriots say he'll undergo tests after the NFL playoffs to determine if he needs knee surgery. We'll be back with more sports after this message.